Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. We're actually in Derek's living room. We don't have video to go along with this, but we're using some handy-dandy sound equipment that I'm actually going to be a little bit frustrated because we took the time to set it up and level it out, and then we're going to move locations and have to do it again every single time because I don't imagine you want this living in your living room like this.
It would be a little inconvenient for watching movies with all the sound equipment set out in the middle of the floor.
For sure. Okay, so Derek's actually looking up our topic, and I said something to Derek just a minute ago that I realized I haven't briefed him on the comings and goings of my life. So as a little bit of housekeeping, Derek just got back from his local Buy Mart. We live in very different areas, but he got back from his local Buy Mart with a box of federal shotgun shells. And so I was like, ooh, careful about that because you could be essentially... I think I said found guilty of a crime, and I guess the risk there. So, and he didn't have any idea what I was talking about. So again, the housekeeping item, here's what I've been up to. I started working at, he's just digging in a bag. I started working at this company, and the joke is that I've just completed, this is my 4th week there. So I've just completed 1 month, right? Here's the problem. I have not actually been to work for an entire week, like for a full week of any of those 4 weeks. The first week, I had 2 days that I had something going on. Second week, 2 days under the weather. Third week, 3 days jury duty. And now, 4th week, Thanksgiving holiday. So the result is that even though I've been there for 4 weeks, I haven't completed it. But I wanted to talk about the jury duty. There was a case where a woman was being charged with 6 counts of a variety of burglary, theft, destruction of property, etc. I was selected to be on the jury. Here's what happened. We found her not guilty of all 6 charges, not because we don't think that she didn't do it, but because the evidence as presented and the level of investigation and the prosecution's presentation to the court was so bad, there was no way. And so here's what was kind of funny. The individual that was burglarized had, from his testimony, approximately 150 rounds of .22 ammunition stolen, and approximately 60 rounds of 12 gauge stolen. The issue that they had for that is that they said that when they were like, oh, and that was greater than $100, he's like, oh yeah, and I was like, no, it wasn't. There's no... Okay, so how much did that box of ammo just cost you? And it's 20 rounds in a box? 25 rounds?
For the federal 12 gauge, 25 rounds, 8 shot. This was $8.99 for this box of 25.
So multiply that by 3. So there were 3 boxes. So $8, $24, or $8.99?
$8.99.
$9. Okay, $27. 150 rounds of 22.
22 right now. If you're buying premium at retail, so like mini mags, you're paying about 10 cents per round at Buy Mart. Because I actually saw it, it's about 10 cents per round. So
150.
That's going to be $15.
Yeah, $15. So $15, and then the $27. Not anywhere near $100. Fine, but then we have the other issue. When the police went, they got a search warrant for the property that this woman stayed at, and they showed a spot where there were a variety of spent shotgun casings. And they were like, and as you can see in the photo, there's evidence that this woman was in possession and had fired the ammunition that was taken at the scene. Here, at the scene, there were the spent cartridges, and they were like, and as you can see, it's a match. 2 of the rounds were in fact 12 gauge, were in fact Fiocchi, were in fact the right color. The 22, nowhere to be found. On her property, none of the other stuff was recovered. None of the other stolen property was recovered. There was a name that was scrawled into the table where the scene of the crime took place. It was a gentleman's name, had nothing to do with the woman, but maybe misdirection, right? Logically. Here's the problem. The very next call that the sheriff had to go take was at a gas station where an individual by that name was arrested for burglary at the gas station. They never followed through an investigation to see if he had any association to the burglary that had just happened about 30 minutes before. Further, 3 individuals gave testimony that they saw a woman walking down the side of the highway with a suitcase and a weed whacker that was stolen from the scene. Here's the problem. One woman said that she got off of work at about 12 o'clock, and she saw the woman walking down the highway. By the way, the woman's home that was the defendant here, the woman lived 3 doors down, but at the space where this is, it's actually out where we go shooting, the outdoor range. She lived 3 doors down, but it was about a 3-minute walk. So one woman who saw her said, yeah, I saw her walking from the residence that the burglary happened to her residence at about 12 o'clock. The second person saw her walking from the residence to her residence at about 4:30 p.m. The third person saw her walking about 20 minutes after that, so almost 5 o'clock. So this woman was walking a 3-minute walk, 3 doors down, over the course of 5 hours. They did find shotgun shells, 2 of the plethora of shotgun shells, spent shotgun shells on this property. There were many, many other rounds that had nothing to do with it, and there were no .22 casings at all. None of the other stolen property was found during the search warrant. They arrested another person by the name that was scrawled into the table for the exact same crime this woman was charged for. And the question that I had, so my joke was like, "Whoop, you got 12 gauge rounds. Like, you might have done it." So it's not a very good story, but I cannot believe that the prosecution decided to go after the charges. Like, I don't, like, for what? He had to have looked at the evidence and gone, nope. Oh, but he still did, and tried to convince a panel of jurors that like, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on the logic on that? You guys are very quiet for a podcast.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a stretch there. 2 out of a plethora of rounds that match.
Yep.
I mean, maybe she was pacing back and forth between the 2 houses, but they have to prove that she was, and it doesn't sound like they did.
Right. Oh, and when they were like, point out the woman in the courtroom that you saw, they didn't know who it was. So, like, yeah.
Wait, that was the individuals that's like, I saw that woman.
They said they're like, they saw what woman? A woman. And they're like, can you identify who she is in this courtroom? They couldn't do it.
Eyewitness testimony.
Oh,
right.
No.
Right. So that's what I don't understand. If someone came up to me and they're like, all right, listen, we got $10. You got to get your whole, like, I've got a team of like 9 people at work. Okay.
I mean, I can kind of see how it's a little difficult to identify someone if you're just driving by and you're just minding your own business.
Well, and this particular part of town, like, we all know where that is, like what you have to go drive through. You're doing 60 easy. Like, so you could just be like, well, I just went past a lady at 60 miles an hour.
Who's carrying a weed whacker?
Like, sure, 5 hours, none of the other evidence, no prints, no nothing. I feel like I wasn't super stoked about my last position with the last company that I was with, because sometimes they would just be like, all right, guys, we got to build the Titanic. We got to do a full-size replica of the Titanic. You got $6, go. And it's just like,
what are you?
How?
$6 of toothpicks?
Right, like, yeah, like, how? Tell me. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like this prosecutor, like, why did his boss come to him and go, well, you got to take this case? Like, is there I don't know. Like, if there's a prosecutor that watches this, can you tell us how that works? Like, does your boss come to you and go, it doesn't matter if it's winnable or not. If 1% of them stick, good job. Like,
yeah, or is he like really new at his job and he's like, I'm gonna win every case?
Or they're just cases for training purposes.
I mean, yeah, I guess it could be like, here's where you went wrong. Like, it's an impossible, like, it's a no-win situation, right? Like, it'll be good for your character.
Here's your Kobayashi Maru.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. That's it for me on housekeeping. We can either go clockwise, counterclockwise. How do you guys want to go? We'll go Heidi next. Do you have anything that you wanted to talk about? Derek's actually got our topic and he's showing it to us. So.
Oh, I see.
But besides whatever it is that you're reading on his phone, do you have any housekeeping that you wanted to cover?
No, not really. There's not a whole lot going on. I know Hot Imports Night is coming up in about a week on the 2nd, and that day is looking really booked for me. I believe I have like a dinner that night, and then I have to get my car down there and barred up and waxed up, and all the fancy things that make it sparkly, and Derek's making a face. I know you're gonna help me with that, right? No.
Yeah, just
So-
after I finish mine.
I know, right?
Are you entering your car?
So yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
guess I could.
I don't think we're going to
short-
make it.
I
don't think we're
we
going to go.
Can.
I don't think so.
I think we can.
We are double booked and we cannot. Okay, that's okay. Whatever.
I think we can. I just need to know what I need to know. Derek, what time are you bringing your car? Like actually putting it in, like the exact time? Because I know it starts at 5. I know it
Yeah,
starts at
your
5.
car in there at like 3 or something.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I'll have to double check the actual.
If he gets it in at 3, that's like hours before 5 when there's a dinner.
Yeah, and then we got to do the dinner during the time that Hot Import Nights is open.
So
It goes till 11.
it goes till 11.
I mean, I guess we can just and honestly, we left early last time because
We didn't even stay there. We gallivanted around.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so Derek, next up, do you have any housekeeping before I hand this back to you? Do you have any housekeeping? And also, is this the right topic for the season?
Well,
So for housekeeping stuff, I don't know. I've got a little bit of news since it's been a while since our last podcast episode, but
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
Mhm.
Helping out a friend get some work done on a car. It's a first-gen Miata, so it's a fairly interesting build, but when the car was brought to me, I think oil was leaking from every part of the engine. It was leaking from the valve cover. It was leaking from the head gasket. There was oil everywhere. You couldn't even tell where it started.
Was it like a track car?
Well, so I've talked to the owner a couple times, and he's still trying to narrow down exactly what he wants his build to be. He's talking about doing kind of mixed autocross and show car use for it. So it's still got a Miata 1.8 in it, but it's also turbocharged, and we're doing a whole bunch of other stuff to it. So we've put on a super damper from ATI on the crank, replaces the sprocket and the pulleys. We're doing a Shunke intake on it. We are putting on a new CX turbo because the old turbo was blown up. Like I said, I pulled off the head. The job was originally presented to me as just a head gasket job, and it's kind of spiraled out to be a little bit more than that, but we're getting it all figured out.
Is it you're now the Miata master builder?
Yeah, apparently. People decided that I'm actually a professional mechanic, so I'm doing this.
Rob too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rob has tapped me to do an engine build, so I'm doing a 12A rotary engine build, and we've got that, like 85% done. I have to clearance 6 more side seals for it, and then I think we are ready to slap the short block together. Then we're going to actually pull out the original engine from the car, present that to the customer just standalone because he wants to keep it. Think of like an old school muscle car mentality where you expect to have matching numbers and things, even though that's not how Mazda does these engines in these cars. Except on the RX-8, the oil pan has the VIN number stamped into it.
Ooh. Until you need a bigger oil pan, higher capacity oil pan.
Right. So helping out with that whole process. I've also made a couple videos on the channel about the GZ, and the exciting news on that today is the license plate finally showed up. So it'll be legal next time the bike
Just in
dies
time
on-
for winter, right?
Yeah, just in time for winter.
Okay, cool. For reference, because I think this is actually more of a known thing for rotary community, we're talking about Rob at Pineapple Racing, so premier rotary builder.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that. I don't want to like make people think I'm showing off or anything.
No,
it's just
okay. My opinion of you, I have a high opinion of you in that regard, and so I don't think this is a showing off thing. I think it's like Rob tapped you for this thing because he believes in you for this thing. Credit where credit's due. Like, that's not showing off. So
thank you.
I'm still not going to be able to build the Titanic with $6 though.
Toothpicks.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot more than $6 of toothpicks for a Titanic full size.
You never
replica.
specified how big it had to be.
No, I did. I said full size original materials.
Oh.
I don't
Why'd
know if
you
I said
say
original
that?
materials, but you were like toothpicks. And I was like, I don't know alchemy. I can't turn wood into steel.
I think the only way you're going to do this is if you free dive down to the Titanic and take the original steel back and use that.
You
Right.
can't safely do that.
Nor do
I'd
I
be
have
impressed.
$6 to do the restoration. Anyway, what do you got on there? He handed you a list of topics. What are you thinking?
Feel free to pick whatever looks relevant. The FYI, the original topic that's next on our queue was let's talk water, so just generally about boating and things. But, we're kind of getting into winter, so...
Right, we put that together during...
Everything's winterized.
Yeah, well, we put this together, the list, during the time when we were out jet skiing. Hey, you know what's fresh here that's, I think, is relevant? But I don't know that we have a ton to talk about, but we could turn it into two separate subjects that I don't want to, like, monopolize this. Like, is there anything on here that you're really excited about? No?
Yeah, that's whatever.
Okay. Can we do a mix of number 6 and the money pit? Can we talk about the 6, what it is, why it is, and the experience with number 6, and leading into the money pit and the concerns that exist there?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay.
I mean, you've been talking about that lately anyway, so...
Well, yeah, and that's why I said it's fresh. Like, it's relevant right now. But the thing is, when we take a step back, I think that anybody that knows this subject material is going to go, you're comparing apples to hand grenades. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, you shouldn't expect the same thing, and I know that.
Except you literally have the keys to both in your hand, so...
Yes. So...
Right.
Oh, and a development regarding that. A conversation that has me kind of in a way in my head. And I don't know how to feel about it. But I'll add that as a spoiler in the end. Does that work for you, 6?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I feel like, should you lead us on this?
Yes, she should.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
very
bullet points.
quickly going to popcorn it to you, John, because you're the one that really got your hands dirty in it. So,
Well,
Well, Derek
Fun-
too, and
both you guys did.
I was so pissed. Anyway,
Like I hold the cameras usually at the end of the day here. I
in
don't
this particular one, you held the
Yes.
pillow.
the pillow.
You went to sleep.
I sure did because I had to get up and go to work like a responsible adult, and I could not do
And Derek
a 5.
went to work,
Oh yeah, Derek
Yeah.
went. There's like eat.
and I'm underneath going, man, hope this steering wheel doesn't fall off. All right,
whole
so
steering rack.
yeah, go ahead and get us into it.
All
Heidi.
right. The Miata.
I've got questions for you if you want.
Yes, please do. Interview.
So, our first question. What do you want in a sports car? Because that's
Uh,
what it is, so...
I guess it kind of feels that way now. So the handling and everything.
Can I interject really quick? No. I just have a question for you. I have a question for you. You said, I guess it is kind of that now. What was it for you before that?
A toy?
Okay, that's reasonable.
But aren't sports cars toys anyway?
Not exactly.
In your mind's
Like-
eye, what's the difference? Tell us the difference.
Toys aren't performing vehicles. I turned a toy into a performing vehicle that could actually perform. Toy, it's like it's safe, it's round, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna control how I'm gonna do this. I have it set at a certain level, and it doesn't exceed the level. However, dial it in, and I will exceed that level. To me, that's no longer really a toy, because a toy, it's safe. Right now, what we've done, I can dial it in, and it can be very not safe. So it does get into the sports territory for me. I think I've honestly just gotten ahead of myself, and I know you're dying to like talk because you like.
No, I'm not. I have a question.
I know
Another
you
follow-up
do.
question. Is your motorcycle, Heidi rides a CBR 1000 RR.
Right.
Is your motorcycle is your motorcycle a toy?
No.
Oh, okay. Can you give me an example of a different toy?
My first car, I guess, maybe. There's nothing really performance about it. It was just a safe all-wheel drive.
That was the Suzuki Grand Vitara?
No. This was the Mazda.
Mazda 3.
The hatchback.
You considered that a toy?
I mean, practical toy, but yes, it's still a toy.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay. So did some modifications, some practical modifications to the Mazda Miata that, first and foremost, we took out the exhaust sound aesthetically, we changed that out. Racer Beats.
Racing Beat.
Yeah, Racing Beats, courtesy of Derek. Because I'm like, he drove by, and I'm like, crap, I actually like the sound of that. I'm like, all right, Derek, one of us, right?
Yeah.
That didn't really change too much about the car. It just sounds a lot better. Sounds like it has body to it. Then we got in springs, and then we got in sway bars, and that's really the big tweak to this whole vehicle. And that's honestly all it really needed. But it did introduce, if you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to want milk, right? So the cookie for me has been the springs and the sway bar with this entire package. The sway bars, obviously, they have sharpened the ride. Springs, it's a lot smoother, and it just goes. Like, there's a lot more balance. It's very grounded. After getting the alignment done, it's perfect. And the only thing, and here's where I'm just like, gosh, I could really use some milk with these cookies, right? Is that supercharger or that turbo. Like, it's power at the end of the day that you're just like, going down a straight line, I really want to pass the Lotus. Let's go, you know?
So squeezing every drop of juice out of this strawberry now.
Pretty
like,
much.
Like, man, it would...
And what's really amazing about it is it's not even like super dialed in. It's set at its like most lowest level, like factory level, medium level, and you can just tell the difference. Like, you go around the corner and it's like, my water's not spilling out of my cup.
So yeah,
and it is white. We could put a nice...
Oh my God.
No, we're not putting decay on the side of it that says I work at a tofu shop. However, I like your thinking.
No, we put down a banner in Japanese that says something in Japanese. So
clever.
Nani ga nihongo de?
No. Somebody, there was an 8.6 that somebody was like, he's like, yeah, I think it says something in Japanese on the side of the car. So they got it. Someone printed him a sticker that he thought was the Fujiwara Tofu Shop that says something in Japanese. And so anyway, no, but okay, so the springs, and you're talking about how the springs and the sway bars. So I think the challenge with the ND, and this is something that I think all of us complained about. You complained about it when I had mine. I complained about it.
It's the body roll.
Yeah.
Like, there is little to no. It's like a 90% difference.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
From more the springs or the sway bars, or
I would say
it's
the combination.
It's the combination.
It's the sweet combination.
So I popped over to, I think it was Goodwin Racing. And they were like, yeah, white line sway bars, Progress springs, and this combination makes the factory power output perfect. And everyone backed it. And so I was just like, well, it's only a few $100s. What's the worst that could happen? If you just move that off to the side, it'll be good, and then you don't have to worry about it. That's fine. Yeah. So anyway, and everyone backed it. So I was like, well, it's only a few $100. Like, if I'm gonna do this to my Miata,
was it like 800?
A
little more than that.
It was less. I think it was probably close to like 450, something like $600. Well, keep in mind that your Racing Beat exhaust was $400. So all said and done, Racing Beat exhaust, springs, and sway bars, it was something like 8 and some change, 1,000, some 1,200. I said
18.
No, nowhere near 18.
And then there was the personal cost.
No,
you weren't even there. You clocked out, man. I guess I could say you clocked in.
Right, yeah. No, but, so when we put that on your car, when we did the springs and the sway bars, yeah, massive improvement to the body roll. And so if I still had my Miata, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
The question that I wonder, though, you're right, it is on the medium setting. How is it going to hold up when you do throw more power at it?
Oh.
It might just go to the wayside. It might go, well, time for coilovers.
I don't know. My plan is to go with a supercharger,
Sure.
and I think that's just gonna put it in a healthy spot. I don't think it's anything that the car can't handle.
Because you won't have any sudden power come up with the supercharger.
It'll be
Exactly.
linear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see. So one of the challenges that people kind of overlook when they start a la carte upgrading their whatever it is, their car, their boat, their whatever it might be, right, is that I wonder if they don't consider the causality, the repercussions that exist with whatever the platform is. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. I've upgraded the power. Neat. What did you do about the brakes? So now you go fast. Can you stop? Or, yay, now, like, this car puts out, so much more torque, and so cornering, there's a lot of G-force. It's like, neat. Does your suspension handle that? Do your tires handle that? Like, do your fenders handle, the squat that happens, as you load up, one side or the other? And I worry, and I'm like, not to knock on wood or whatever, but like I worry that if we get into what does the car put out? What does the Miata put out factory now?
I think it's a 180 or 183 horsepower.
Okay, so after drivetrain loss, safe to say about 150, something like that.
So what you're getting at is it is a particular driver that will do that. I'm not the track driver, though.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is I'm worried, and I don't know that it'll be an issue. It might not be, because you're right, superchargers are linear. You're not getting this sudden, build to boost. It's just there the whole way. I just wonder if we got 150 horsepower roughly. There's probably a little more than that, 155, 160 maybe. And you looking it up? Okay, so we got that. And then we throw a supercharger on it, suddenly we're putting 250 at the wheels. So there's an extra 100 horsepower at the wheels. That's significant. And I wonder how the suspension is going to feel under the exact same driving conditions, but with 100 extra wheel horsepower.
This might actually take further research.
And I think it will. That's what I'm saying, though, is like, so for anybody that's watching this, don't go, yeah, no, like, this is fine. Like, okay, cool, progress springs, white line sway bars. End links too. Don't forget your end links.
Oh,
but and I got some exhaust. I got a freer flowing exhaust and probably an intake for the supercharger. Added 100 horsepower. Holy shit, it drives awful. Like right now, with factory power output, personally, your car is a dream to drive.
No, for sure, I agree.
Right.
All right. What were the numbers you guys were guessing for wheel horsepower on a dyno?
I was thinking 150, 155, something like that. 200. Well, what's the crank?
I didn't look up the crank. I went straight to the actual wheel horsepower on the dyno. So it's 168.
Oh, that's actually really decent.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good.
Okay, cool.
Now I'll look up the crank horsepower.
Well,
is it 168? I'm going to say it's probably 190, 200. Well,
181.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's a sweet spot good, though.
Well, no, but that means that the drivetrain loss is so minimal to none.
Yeah, that's 7.2% drivetrain loss. That's
about half of what I would expect.
Yeah.
I'd expect about 15.
Yeah, the safe number is about 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
So Mazda's done a really good job, or they're lying to us about that power number.
Which has happened. And Mazda has been caught overstating the power number, so why not under-promise and over-deliver?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What other questions you got?
Well, I'll throw out one other funny anecdote here, because I just said, it's 168 on that car. The RX-8 only makes 12 more horsepower and it weighs a solid, 500 pounds more?
I'm lighter than you.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, much, much lighter.
Here's the thing, though. So you know how you've driven your car? I've driven your car?
Yeah.
We're the only ones who have driven your car. I think that when you toss Derek the keys,
That's what I wanted to do, though.
No, I know. No, I know. Go ahead.
No.
Weren't you angry about something, like, at some point? Something about your dad's Miata versus some other Miata or something?
Angry about it.
Not like, but like, oh, this is so much better for no reason.
Oh, God.
Because the story went, I think, if I remember correctly, they both had similar cars. He did the expensive package, and his dad's like, whatever, I'm going to do this budget package. And the budget package was phenomenal.
Well, okay.
So there's a little bit of bitterness there.
So you're close. So what happened was I took my 87 RX-7, non-turbo, the most basic second-gen RX-7, and I bought what are very much marketed as mid-range coilovers. I got Fortune 500s, the current generation from, I think, 2021 model year. Got them. They looked beautiful. They were a huge pain to install because Fortune lies about how bolt-on they are. They don't provide a safe way to mount up the brake line.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I had to, Rob actually taught me to weld brackets that we cut off of a Monroe shock and a Tokiko Blue to weld onto a little S bracket we made for these Fortunes. Because even the cheapest, the worst strut manufacturer in the entire market, that actually has a name, makes a much better bracket than Fortune, or, sad to find out, most of the other coilover manufacturers for the FC. So I went through all this effort. I'm like, I bought a quality product. I went and I installed it properly so it's not going to, break off my brake line or dump all my brake fluid and kill me. And the car doesn't ride well. Like, it rides acceptable after I went down 2 kilogram per millimeter on each spring. So Fortune ships the default package with 8K in the front and 6K in the rear. I bought a set of 4s for the rear, Swift springs even, put those in the rear, moved the rears to the front, so now I have 6 and 4, and it rides acceptable. Does very well at autocross, did better with the harsher springs, but my dad's 97 NA Miata, he just went and bought the basic Flying Miata kit that comes with AGX, or not AGXs, Coney Yellows. So Coney Yellows and their springs, we installed those. He already had Racing Beat sway bars that we'd got him years prior. And aside from some pain with drilling out the top hats because they need a round hole instead of a D hole, thanks Coney, that car rides like a dream compared to my car. And it still handles very well. So it's very frustrating that I spent more money and even more effort and bought what's supposed to be a higher-end product, being a coilover as opposed to a spring plus strut combination, and it's worse.
How much money did you spend on yours?
Not a lot. I got them on the scratch and dent sale, so I saved quite a bit. I think I paid $1,200 for the full set.
Okay.
This reminds me of your story.
No, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. But
this is very familiar.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm now worried. What did you name that car? That car has got a name, right?
Oh, Razor?
Yeah. Okay. I'm now worried for the safety of Razor because you spent $1,200 on that set.
Mm-hmm.
Heidi's was 6 to 8, something like that.
Let's just say it's like under 15.
Well, no. Keep in mind, I think it was about 12, 13, but that's with a $400, almost $500 exhaust. Okay, so let's just say it was 13.
Okay.
And I think it was free shipping. So 13 minus a $500 exhaust, it was $800. We'll just say 800. Okay, so 60% of the cost of what he spent into his. Derek, the amount of effort that you put in to make those coilovers work, the brackets that you had to cut off of an existing strut somewhere and then weld onto these. In fact, give yourself some extra points because they're green, right?
They do fit my aesthetic pretty well.
Okay, so with that in mind, knowing that we put $800 in and the effort that we had to do with Heidi's, compare that effort to the effort that you did for your FC. Would you say the FC was more? I would say probably for sure if you had to weld.
I mean, it required more tooling for sure. Again, requiring welding, and we had to heat up a piece of metal and bend it into an S, weld that onto the coilover bottom piece, and then weld the bracket onto that, and, manipulate all these things into place. But comparing the actual number of hours to make that happen versus what we had to do for Heidi's car was harder.
Interesting.
It took more time.
It was harder, honestly, because
we didn't know how to
front
get that.
sway bar.
Yeah, we didn't know how to get that thing out until we did some research,
That
and it was
took,
like
some innovation.
for sure. So for any of you that are going to do sway bars are a pain in the ass. We'll get into that, and it's
Well,
not on every car.
On
No.
some cars.
Yeah, on some cars.
The ND.
The two cars that we're working with, pain in the ass. Okay, so here's the concern that I have then. So we've put all this together. You're going to drive Heidi's car, and then you're going to come home and beat the crap out of your car with a crowbar, I think.
Oh, no. No.
This Miata drives so good. So good. You're gonna, oh no, a crowbar fell on it 600 times. Insurance. I need a new ND, please.
Well, I don't think I'd feel too bad, because I already know that even the basic kit on an NA rides much nicer than the red car. So I expect an ND to ride even nicer again than that.
It's so good. It's so good. All right, what other questions do you have?
Well, I wrote down a bunch of things, but I'll skip around a little bit here. Let's see.
While you're looking up your question, Seiza is in fact in this podcast, and the moment that Heidi stops petting her, because we don't have any video, the moment that Heidi stops petting her, she reaches her head up and bites her right on her left boob.
Thanks.
I'm just watching her do it.
Well, anyway, so here's a question that I think, I don't know, could be an interesting one for you. So, with your experience and where the car started and where it is now, would you do it all again? Would you buy this car again and go through the same experience to get the same level of performance and handling and ride comfort and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like the car. Like, it's not the dream car, but it is the fun car. Like, at the end of the day, it's like you go to the dealership, it's like, what do you want? It's like, I want to trade my practical car for whatever, a toy, because I guess I'm in that type of part of my life where I'm like, I guess I need a toy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I think there is a saying that goes around on the internet. It's like the Miata is the answer for a lot of everything, and then maybe even nothing at all.
Miata is the answer, and I say that as an RX-7 person.
Yes, it is. Like, I'm tempted to try it on the track, but I just don't want to do that at the same time, because I know the stress that it will do to it, and I just kind of cringe at, like, stressing it. Like, I'll do it for like a day, and I'll be like, I can then figure out where its stress points are, because I haven't even done that yet, because I'm like, okay, I haven't even, like, sure, in the rain it's like easy to like just be like, I'm gonna slide that way, and but you know what's even really cool about it is how well it responds to you messing up a slide.
Oh, yeah?
And I think we did that in Washington.
50-50.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I was going a little fast around a corner, and I'm like, and it was just a perfect mess of everything. Like, there's oncoming cars, it was dark, it was raining. My vision's already kind of like down the chute because of the reflection of the rain and everything. And then the lights coming, and I was just right at that apex, which is like, I don't know, like a 40-degree apex.
It was a 45-degree left.
45-degree, that means I'm going probably around 60, and I was. And it's like, it hit me, and it reflected at such a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm going in just a split too hot. And so, of course, I put the brake, but then the car's like, but we're driving. No worries, we can drift. And then I'm like, but you're going to course correct it, right? And they're just like, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, oh. So it was that kind of stress that I'm like, oh, man. I wish I was a better driver, but it's like, I also don't like doing that to the car, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think this is the reason why you need to take it out to autocross and optionally the track day. Track is more problematic because you need a roll bar, but autocross, you can't get in a situation where you're going to seriously damage the car unless you just forgot how to drive a car in general.
You can get rubber scuffs down the side as you hit cones.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
you
would
might have to clean it.
I don't know if I'd actually want to put cones out there and stuff. I mean,
No.
maybe not. I don't know.
You have cones at autocross, but what I think you have illuminated for anyone that's listening to the conversation here is two things. One is that it's like, oh, I have this car, and you love your car. Like, for the people that don't know Heidi, she spends a lot of time making her car pretty, making it hers, and just, you know, keeping it visually tip top and styled around her. So I think some of the concern that you talk about is stress, but I think that you have probably a concern for visual damage as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not far off from your own aesthetic. Like when you see like a scratch on anything that you're
Time to
like,
throw it away.
yeah, or it's
Yeah.
like, and that's you can actually I can accept that's was the straw that broke the camel's back for you with your own Miata when there was that big scratch on the interior hood.
No, it was the trunk. It was the deck
Yeah,
lid.
there we go.
Yeah, whatever. We're not talking about that. But anyway, no. So what the point then that I think that you've illuminated, point number one, is I think that's how people wind up with race cars, is they have this car and they're like, oh, it's so good. Now I need another one that I can beat the crap out of it on a racetrack.
Yeah, but I don't want another. Yeah, that's the thing. I want to keep my car. I wouldn't mind getting another car, but it wouldn't be a Miata.
Sure. Okay.
So I think the solution is just lots of clear bra on this car.
Oh my God, like full body clear bra.
Yeah, the whole bottom skirt clear
Yep.
bra. You can hit cones all day long and then peel the clear bra off, and it'll look as good as the day it went on there.
Sure.
Dents, though.
It's
The
plastic.
cones won't dent the car.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. They can't dent the car.
I don't trust that you can't dent that Miata with like the lightest or the heaviest thing. The problem is
Like, these
It-
cones are soft rubber.
you don't understand how frail like the
The paint.
side not just the paint but the side of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can bend like you can lean on it and you can bend it.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
No, I understand that.
the paint, a lot of these cars, the NDs, the ND2 specifically, that are shipping, people are buying them brand new on the lot with rock chips in them
Mhm.
because they were on a truck at some point in their life because the wind blew and that was too harsh.
Yeah.
Somebody sneezed like
Yeah, somebody sneezed.
PSI 40 or PSI, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
Um,
I don't think you can dent it with the cones they use at autocross unless you're hitting one of the cone workers. Then that'll leave a mark.
the other thing that I think that is kind of neat that you point out, so not directly, is that you were talking about, or Derek, you were saying like, oh, I think to stress it, to find out what the limits are, take it to a track day or an autocross so you don't have to deal with a roll bar.
Mhm.
The sway bars that went on the car, they actually said, do not put these on the most aggressive setting until you have had an opportunity to go to a big parking lot or an autocross event and find the limit of the car. Because when you make it the most aggressive, the limit is going to be even closer. And so, or more aggressive, I guess. And so, yeah, that was the recommendation, was to autocross it. But
So part of me doesn't like part of me is like so curious what that aggression is, but at the other part is I also know in my head I don't want to fight with the car to drive it.
no, I hear you. Absolutely. Like well, I don't know that it's a fight. So something.
No, it's more like you're dancing on the knife edge there.
Exactly.
It takes more effort. It's not a fight, but it's more of like, I have to actually focus at all times. I have to, is that.
And I don't know if I want to do that for a daily
Right.
driver.
For sure. And so when you were talking about the car sort of corrected itself, when I was like 50-50, it's the benefit of a perfectly balanced vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think not going too aggressive on your daily driver is absolutely the right choice.
Yep.
The only time in my whole life that I've ever gone off the road unintentionally in a car was actually driving the red car back from autocross last year.
I remember that.
Yeah, it
Ice, wasn't it?
well, it was a sunny day, and then as I was driving back on Highway 84 along the gorge, it started raining, and it started
Hail.
raining really hard, and then it started hailing like the fastest I think I've ever seen. So the road went from dry and clean to literally white out on the road.
Dippin' Dots.
And when I realized how quickly the conditions were changing, I tapped the brakes just a little, and the front end came loose on the car, and I had to, wrestle with it to keep it pointing more or less down the freeway, but I went just slide right off onto the right edge from the left lane. Thankfully, didn't hit anyone, didn't hit any signs, didn't go down into a ravine. It was the perfect spot to go off, but even with my nice all-season tires on, Yokohama Abadison GTs, there was nothing I could do at that speed because the conditions changed quickly enough.
What speed was it?
I think I was just going along at whatever the legal maximum speed is there.
For sure, just whatever the legal maximum was.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth.
55, I think.
Right, 50.
You're right.
I wasn't racing or anything. I wasn't going super fast.
But your car was dialed in for track, and that's the thing. Like,
right.
And that's where I'm just like, if conditions go like topsy-turvy and I do get into a hailstorm, it's like, not only am I like hyper focused on like knowing where that limit is and knowing how easy it is to stress that limit, like conditions change and you're screwed. And I don't want to, like, if I was in California, fine, I don't care because the conditions, they're the same every freaking day. And it's like, okay, I can work with that. But here, you're going to get rain like 90% of your entire year, and then you're going to get snow for about 20%.
Well, closer into Portland, the snow is more rare. But yeah, out where you live, I think that's more common.
I don't know, man. I want to get one of those Can-Am things that your neighbors have and put like the Christmas lights on them with the flags.
Oh yeah, one of my neighbors, whenever it snows, they bust out their side-by-side and they have a couple big poles with LED lights and they just rip up and down the street.
Oh my gosh, I want to be their friend so bad.
Right? It looks like such a good time.
I do think that you should probably at some point take your car out. Like when it's time to, like it's, time to change the tires or something. Like we're on the last 5-10% of the tire's life. I think we should take your car out. I think you should take your car out.
I'm going to
find the
my
limit.
brake pads are probably going to go before my tires.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Normally, the tires will outlast the brakes, in my experience.
Okay.
I think the tires outlast the brakes?
Excuse me.
Brakes outlast the tires.
Yes, thank
like
you.
Sometimes,
the other way.
Sometimes twice over, 3 times over. Yeah. I guess it depends on what you're doing, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but I think that when you get to once we get down to it's time to change the tires, I think you should go burn the last of it, finding what the slide limit is.
Well, I don't know about that.
What's your thought?
Because the slide it's going to be different with like a brand set of new tires on.
Yes.
Yep.
But you don't actively look for your limit now. So why not just do it when there's no cost?
Well, for a couple reasons, because again, the limit's going to be different at that point, and also if you've misjudged how much life is actually left in the tires and you run down to the bands, then that's suddenly
sure
a dangerous thing to be driving on.
Right. That's fair.
So you should take it out immediately in the spring when autocross starts up.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And also buy another set of wheels for some summer tires.
Yeah,
Talked about that, yeah.
I plan to do that. The autocross field, where I don't know where anything is around here.
There's several.
The one south with the go-karts, where you have to have like a driver's license to drive them.
No, you're thinking I think
there
there is go-karts there, but Pat's
the
Acres.
Ridge? The Ridge where we went out and watched Christy at the track day?
No,
You're thinking Pat's Acres. Yeah. They do some karting out there, but it used to be drift. I don't know what they're doing these days.
Pat's Acres is primarily a go-kart track, but they do occasionally host drift events for full-size cars because they have such a wide track. I don't know if there's anyone doing autocross events at their track, though.
I
No.
see.
Yeah.
But the usual place I go is with my club, and that's out at the Dallasport Regional Airport.
I
So
see.
just across the river from the Dalles.
All right.
What else you got
We'll also go up to Sheldon, Washington.
on the questions?
Oh. we got a couple more venues for the autocross. You know, we could talk about that too. So I think you've already talked about why you bought this specific car, right?
Yeah.
Have you told that story?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, how about least favorite aspects of the car at this point?
I might need a minute for this one.
Can I guess on one?
Yeah.
Heidi loves, oh my God, that Mazda 3. The amount of snacks she would carry with her at all times in the hatch. Now you have a tiny trunk and no back seat.
It's perfect for my diet.
Okay. All right.
That's a feature, not a bug.
Right.
That's control. I've been actually surprisingly doing pretty well with not having a lot of room to, I don't know. Like, I'm still able to get, like, bare necessities. Like, when I do go shopping, I don't get a lot of varieties of food. Like, I think the biggest bulky things I have gotten has been, like, bins of cat litter. And I'm like, I guess I'm not 50-50 anymore. Haha. But no, I usually just put it on the passenger seat, and I'm just like, we're good.
Even better weight balance.
I know. That's I thought about that when I put it on. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna put this in the trunk.
Besides practicality, what is there to hate about a Miata?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't like the. I guess I don't like the fact that the paint is so easy to freaking chip because I like the paint so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That. You know what? Actually, I haven't. I have to get used to this now that I did do the alignment. And I didn't have to used to do this before, but I have to drive it like how I drove the Corvette, where every like ascent, like a bump,
Mm-hmm.
I have to take at an angle, like every incline.
It's a little bit lower.
And it feels bad when you scrape the bottom of your car.
Ooh.
Yeah, it feels real bad, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, feels like you chip off like a part of your life, and like then you feel like that white hair growing.
You're
Do
like,
you have any feelings about your roof not having any insulation and it's just a strip of fabric over your head, or no? I was actually incredibly impressed this past summer when you came home and your top was down. I was like, oh shit! Like
I really like it,
I've
but
never
at the
seen her do
same
that.
time, yeah, I like that I could like put it down. I like the lightness that comes with it, but at the same time, the other NDs that have like the harder like roof,
I can't even
they're
remember
just
what
really
they're calling
pretty.
them.
They're really pretty,
That's
and
subjective.
it is. What it reminds me of is actually I don't even have a good reminder of what it is. I think I like it when their top is down versus mine, I guess.
Because of the humps, if you will, behind the head, behind
Yeah.
each person.
Yeah.
That's what I hate most about it. Is
Really?
Yeah. I can't stand the way the back of it looks.
You just want like an open back.
Yeah. Roll bars are nice, and they have roll bars,
But
but
I
like,
don't want roll bars.
wait,
I don't think I want roll bars.
does that not count for track?
I'd have to check the regulations. It might qualify for track.
Yeah, because there's factory roll bars.
By the way, the name of that model is the retractable fastback. So the
That's what
NDRF.
Yeah. Okay, and prior to that
There
was
we
the
go.
PRHT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't hate them. They remind me of like little transformer cars.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Do you know that you can roll down the back window and keep the top up? I hate
yeah,
that so
I
much.
like
I hate
that
it
so
so
much.
much.
I
hate
like
I
it.
cannot stand it.
Oh my gosh, I get so jealous when I see another one like going down the road and I want to be like, yeah, he's one of us. Stop. Don't say it.
No, I'm just saying that cat really wants you to pet it.
I know.
Like-
I'm petting her. It's fine.
I love how we have kind of a rock, paper, scissors opinion here, because I'm kind of split between both of your opinions on the NDRF.
Yeah.
Because I think it looks
so cool.
it looks better than the soft top ND when both the tops are up,
Yeah.
but I think when the tops are down, the regular soft top looks better.
Ugh.
So
If the humps disappeared, it would be okay, but they don't.
They used to, I think.
They did.
yeah, the PRHT, the NC hardtop convertible, it just entirely hides it away.
Yeah.
It all goes down below the little lid.
But the NC's ugly because it has side boobs everywhere.
This is like the first time I've ever heard you complain about side boob.
Everywhere. Everywhere. It has back boobs. It has side boobs.
So they're not
It
boobs.
has-
They're what? Ulcers?
It has
Side ulcers.
it has lip filler in the front.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, it's like the RX-8, where they've kind of given it a little too much testosterone, so it's bulging out of all the fender wells for some reason, and it...
And that's what I don't like about the RX-8 either.
Yeah.
If the RX-8 had been just a prettier car, you could forgive a lot of the other stuff.
Well, and that's the weird thing, is it's a real mixed bag. The Series 2 RX-8, real ugly in the front, but better looking in the rear for sure. So...
Okay.
But that's what Mazda always does with the taillights on RX-7 generations. The first
You think
model...
it's two teams?
Sorry?
You think it's two teams?
2 teams?
Yeah, two teams. You got like, okay, I don't mean to be crude or anything, but do you think they have like the only term that I know, like the social common term, is a little bit crude, and so do you think they have two design teams? They're like, all right, you guys, you're the ass men, and you guys are the face and boobs guys. Like, so that's just like, all right, you guys, the boobs and face guys, go and do design the front, and it looks really pretty. And then you got the butt guys that go design the butts, and they just have to rock, paper, scissors on who gets, like their selection done or whatever.
I don't know. It feels to me like they just make the car and they're like, oh, okay, we've done it. It looks good. And then they're looking at it for like the year or two after they designed it, and they're like, no, we got to adjust this. We got to put the circle taillights back in yet again.
Okay, I think I wonder if more like contextual clarity would. I don't think they have two different design teams. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have different design teams. But are there cars that come to mind to you? And I'm sure there are, but I'm struggling right now. Are there cars that come to mind for you that you look at and go, the front is gorgeous and the rear also gorgeous? Because the immediate stuff that comes to my mind right now is like, wow, that back looks so good. I don't care for the front, or vice versa, or the sides even.
Yeah.
What?
So the second version of the second generation RX-7, the Series 5 RX-7, the front looks gorgeous, the rear looks gorgeous. Same thing happened with the FDs.
The FDs, yes.
The 99 spec, the rear looks gorgeous, the front looks gorgeous. Like, the whole car on both of those cars is just perfect aesthetically.
Do we agree or disagree that the FD needs the factory adjustable rear wing?
It absolutely needs the wing.
Okay, because without it, they just look like God spent way too much time on the front and forgot about the rear.
It doesn't get that wedge shape without some factory wing, and the same problem with the FC.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, seeing the FC without some type of something, and the duckbills don't count. I don't like the duckbills.
No, I'm not a big fan of the duckbill. I don't know. How about the ND?
Yeah, does it need a spoiler, or are you happy with just like your little lip spoiler on the back?
I'm happy with the little lip spoiler because I haven't seen anything as nice.
You saw mine without.
I don't like yours.
Right. Yeah, okay. So for sure, thumbs up on the lip spoiler then.
Right. Like it gives it like when you put like a little curve like on an L or like on a T, it's like that. Yoink.
Okay, the flare, like the
Gives it
Yeah.
the
little-
serif.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Mhm.
Who does it? Is it Craving Speed? They made like a
Yeah.
they made
Well,
one, but I don't remember if I liked it or not. I want to say maybe I did, but I don't know if I liked it enough to like try it.
so I don't think they made it. They had wings from Germany that were apparently they hypothetically looked really good. The problem is that every single one of them had damage, and so they were
Hmm.
selling them, but they just weren't. There was something wrong with it. And this is Craven Speed, based out of, are they in Tigard?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
they?
Tigard.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
that's
sell,
close by. I should know where they are, but I
Yeah, they
can't-
sell all kinds of Miata stuff. It's amazing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I know there's like a Subaru shop, and that's where I bought my race helmet, but I don't think I've been over to Craven Speed yet.
They're not super
Um,
fans of letting people into the building since pandemic. But even that it came to an end, they still keep their door locked. But if you call and say, "Hey, like I ordered this thing on your website, can I come in and get it instead of you shipping it to me?" They obviously will save you some time and money.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they design a lot of stuff for the Miata. All the way from knobs, the platypus license plate I got there.
The stubby antenna.
Yeah, the stubby antenna.
They did my gauge mounted cell phone mount.
They did do that. I'm curious about their jam handles. They're only like $25.
What's a jam handle?
Are you talking about the little rubber bushings?
Yeah.
Those are just once the factory ones wear out.
Does it open a jar of jam when you use this handle?
They do, yeah. Actually, you smell like this weird scent of strawberry preserve every time you open the door.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I should hassle them to make one of those for the RX-7.
Well, you could, but then you're gonna have to weld your own brackets to it and drill out stuff, and yeah,
Here we go again.
and then you're gonna be mad because you spent hundreds of dollars more than the Miata one.
Yeah.
Did you know
Yep.
that the
Well-
ND Miata and the Evo share a shift knob pattern?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So actually, when I get in my car, when I'm done, I take my shift knob out and put it in hers. I don't do that. I don't do that. No.
You know what makes the fortunes worse for me?
What's that?
I've actually bought 3 sets of suspension in the last couple years trying to get the car to a great compromise of handling and ride comfort.
3 sets of suspension?
Uh-huh.
So like strut, spring,
So
everything?
So I had the springs from before. I have a set of Racing Beat springs,
Okay.
and
What's wrong with
My-
the weight Racing Beat springs?
nothing's wrong with them, but they're not very aggressive. They're not aggressive enough for autocross to
Okay.
really handle well.
Sure.
They ride great, but I'd been hearing for years about doing the Bilstein struts for the FC, because there is a set of struts you can buy. The rears will just bolt up like normal. The fronts are inserts, so you have to, again, hack up some strut housing and install them. So once again, I did that. There's a video on my old channel, youtube.com/DerekCat about this. I took my angle grinder, I cut the top off of a Monroe strut and cleaned it out, deburred it, shoved in the Bilstein insert, locked it all in, reassembled it, bolted right up. Beautiful. Better fitment than the Fortune. And then there was a whole nightmare trying to do that to the other side, because the Tokiko Blue strut has a slightly different diameter than the Monroe strut. So when you put the Bilstein in there, the collar doesn't wedge into place. It flops around a little.
Ooh.
So again, I went up to Rob. We did a few spot welds to locate that in there. Got the collar to where it wasn't going to flop and cause issues. Installed those. Once again, the handling was improved on the car, but the ride quality kind of went downhill on the freeway. Good in town, but on the freeway, if you get those kind of gentle rolling curves on the road, you start to kind of get that like up down bouncing, like you're riding in an airplane going through a little turbulence. Not enough that you're like being shaken to death, but it's like just enough that you're like, this is starting to get uncomfortable.
Right.
So then that's why I went to the Fortunes. I did that, found out the downfalls there. So then I went and did something stupid, and I bought the Japan-only Olins for the FC. And I have those sitting in a box in the garage, and I think they need rebuilt before I can use them.
Oh, no.
So that's again going to cost me $1,200+ in the end.
Speaking of stuff out of Japan, we got to make that trip because there's a lot of stuff I want to look at and probably just spend more money than I have at that superstore there.
Yeah, but Derek said he doesn't want us to go.
I didn't say that. I'm not sure whether I want company or not, but in any case, I am going to Japan soon.
Oh, I can't go with you like this year. Like for sure I cannot, but
Oh, it's next year. It's fine.
Yeah, it's January, what, 2nd?
Less than 90
probably shouldn't say
days.
specific days, but
Okay, that's fine. So Heidi handed me Derek's phone with a spoiler
I actually really like it.
that she really likes, and you know why she really likes it? It's because she has good taste, because this is a spoiler that I really like. But, here, I'm going to read you
Oh my God.
the description. These spoilers were shipped all the way from Europe. Unfortunately, they received cosmetic damage in transit. Every single model that they have has damage.
Seriously?
Every single one.
I see.
stretch.
That's the one that I wanted for my ND, and I was like, I don't want to have to deal with filler and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're all about 5 or 6 feet apart, and so
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I guess that explains why the price is just really nice on them.
Yeah, it's damaged goods, and you have to drill a hole in your trunk, and
well, unfortunately,
But it
you always
looks
do.
so good.
yeah, you have to drill several holes in your trunk. She doesn't have to drill any holes with the lip.
Yeah, but
Oh.
the damage is fine because I was just going to wrap it anyways.
The spoiler? No, it's going to change the shape. You actually have to reshape filler like fiberglass around it, and you may actually need to drill to have something for it to hold on to.
It would take out my little shark fin.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the Miata? I'm not trying to rush us along. I just worry because we're at an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the long podcasts again somehow.
Well, no, that's what I keep trying to tell you from the beginning. Podcast episodes on these kind of subject matters are going to be long.
Are we going to have like a, hey, intermission break?
I don't know. I mean, we could, but the thing is, what are we going to do in that time? And then the other thought is, I don't remember looking at the statistics. How did episode 1, part 1 versus episode 1, part 2 go? Like, do we just lose people all along the way?
I don't know.
On that note, thank you very much to anyone who's listened through the entire thing this far.
I think this is a phenomenal podcast if you want to hear people's opinion about a car that you have experience and or want and or currently, like own or have owned. So experience in the subject matter, but you're also on a road trip to Seattle from the Pacific Northwest, or on a road trip of any kind, where you're like, wow, I have some time to kill, and I just want to hear 3 random people talk about a subject matter that you're interested in.
And my apologies if you are on the way to Seattle. I'm sorry about your life.
Seattle's
Wow.
great. Much love for Seattle. I like Seattle.
I very much hate Seattle.
I don't want to live there,
Oh
but
my
I like
gosh.
Seattle.
The only thing I like there is conventions. Otherwise, I'd be happy enough if it were nuked and paved.
Wow.
That's not good. The Dainese store's in Seattle.
I know, man.
Well, then they'd have to open a Portland one because they wouldn't be able to put it back.
Oh
What
my
else?
God.
What else?
See, it's just a complete win. Hanjin would have to go to Portland if there was no Seattle. So we
I like
would get...
Pike Market. Pike Market's
Yeah,
nice.
Pike Street Market's good.
Yeah, I've been there. It was okay.
I don't know where. I wish Oregon had an equivalent of
Pike's
because it's
Market.
not. It's every day.
Yeah.
It's every day.
Right.
Oh, hey,
don't-
while we're on the market topic, I just wanted to mention something to anybody that was interested. Pine Street Market here in Portland. Yeah, we had a drop off in part 2. So Pine Street Market in Oregon, ramen, burgers, tacos. The owner's selling the building. It's going away. It's gone.
Oh, when did that happen?
It was in the news this morning. I don't know when it is going to happen, but it was in the news this morning. So
I kind of like that place.
yeah, no, they're cool.
I didn't even get to try the tacos yet.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, what else you got?
I've got a lot more hate for Seattle, but
No.
if we're getting back on
Oh
subject,
my gosh.
So we sort of briefly mentioned it, but let's talk a little bit about the Mazda 3. Like, that's what you drove before
Yeah.
the ND. What got you into that, and what got you out of it?
It was very easy. I just bought the wrong one. They make a very, very good manual Mazda 3 turbo. I just didn't get it.
There's more to it.
I don't remember.
So you were not looking for a Mazda 3.
No, that's true. I wasn't.
You weren't looking for anything, actually. You were looking for availability, and
nothing was
existed.
available. And I needed the vehicle
right then.
that week, yeah.
Yeah, the only car that we found that she could test drive that physically was present, like we went to Honda, and Honda was like, we have no cars. You can buy one. You can't test drive it. You can't see it because we don't have any. This was during peak inventory, nothing. I think there was a big
like, I
boat.
think they wanted to sell me a Civic, but it was like used and...
No, they didn't. They didn't have it
already
used.
Yeah, they did. They had a Civic there that was used, and it was already marked up for like a new vehicle. They're just like,
oh, there was that going on too.
We can give you this. It's already been driven for 8,000 miles. Still kind of considered new, but we're also marking it up.
Right.
And I'm like, but why?
This was when a certain boat that didn't change colors was stuck in a canal, and no one could get anything. So there was no inventory. And was it your sister? I know this is slightly different time frames, but was it your sister who sold like an old van?
Oh yeah,
for
she had like a minivan.
Buku money.
Okay.
Because just there was no inventory, so everyone was buying used cars for like
a 2010 like minivan, because she has like 5 kids and 5 dogs and cats.
And this was in 2020, 2021, something like that.
It was like a 2010 like minivan.
No, but it was a 2010 minivan in 2020, 2021. So it's like a 10, 11-year-old car.
Yeah.
Right. That had been lived in, not literally lived in, but had been owned and used on a regular basis by a woman with how many kids?
5 kids.
The Brady Bunch. Okay, so the Brady Bunch owned this car.
Like, there's probably like 30,000 miles or more on that. Like, I'm going to say like even 50. But she's like, hey, I want to get rid of my car. Who wants to buy it? They're like, we'll give you 10 grand just right there. Just like that.
So it was more than 30 or 50,000 miles, because this was a 10-year-old car for a person who lived in a town where the nearest everything was an hour away.
Well, their main hub for groceries, I know, has always been Costco.
Is there a Costco out there? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
You have to drive at least 40 minutes to get to it.
So there was, over the course of 10 years, 10 or 11 years, I guarantee I bet you it was closer to a 100,000 mile van.
Yeah, probably.
The American average is about 12,000 miles a year, so around 120 would be normal for that vehicle.
Yeah. So, but 10 grand.
Well,
for
she didn't buy it
heavily.
I don't think she bought it new.
No, okay, and so even more maybe.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know, but in any event, yeah, she made out like a bandit for this thing, and that's the other thing. Van prices, like this is a derail, so I'm not going to continue on this too much, but van prices during that time frame, and even now we're still seeing it a little bit. It's tapered off a bit.
Gold mined.
Yeah, they were gold mines, and they weren't available because everyone was going, well, I don't have to go back to the office, and you can't go do anything, so I guess I'll go live in my van and see the world. And you couldn't get into a house or like anything. So we bought in the most recent property we bought in 2019, 2020, something like that, at 2.5. What is the rate now? It's like 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah, something
so
around there.
You can't get anything. And so people were like, well, I can have this dope ass van and go see the world. And so then the dealerships were like, yeah, you're right. That's a good idea. Here's this van that MSRPs for 24. We'll sell it to you for 35. And people were buying them. So that and the interest rate on cars too, because the availability went down so low. It wasn't just a seller's. That's exactly what it was. It was a seller's market for automobiles. And so so Heidi goes to look for cars. Anything used was buku money, just so much money. And we wound up at the Mazda, and they were like, "Well, we have this one." And I was like, "Oh, Heidi, I don't know that you want the all-wheel drive unless you also get the turbo." And she's like, "Well, I need it now, and this is what they have."
Yep.
And then she got bad influenced by the rest of our peers who were like, Miata, 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 Miata.
Oh yeah,
So,
the little spiders on the wall whispering me secrets.
yeah.
The answer is Miata. That was like the thing I heard, like wake to faint.
You know what? I'm going to count that as a win because we didn't leave some, I don't know, barn with a rotary something in it. And I love rotary. but yeah, I don't know.
Well, or, not like a really bad idea, like, oh, I could get this BMW 328i for some great price, and now you're spending $600 a month just maintaining the thing and gluing all the pieces back together every month.
Yeah. What was that?
Sorry.
You drop your phone?
My
Okay.
phone dropped.
Hey, so we're actually going to go ahead and pause the podcast. We got people that want to go to the bathroom, and it's not Seiza. So, let's go ahead and pause the podcast. We'll go ahead and just stitch it right into the next section. But, beverage and bathroom time, I think.
Seiza is the cat, by the way.
Seiza is the cat. Okay. Go ahead and stopping here.
And we're back.
Cool. So we kind of left off. We were talking about the car market was absolutely in favor of the seller. It was dismal trying to find anything as a buyer. You wound up with the Mazda 3, and you were saying a minute ago that it wasn't the turbo, it wasn't the manual.
No, it wasn't the turbo, it wasn't the manual. It was just a practical all-wheel drive Mazda 3 car. And, I mean, it got me from point A to point B. It was great. I think I just got into the situation as John rubbing off on me. It's like if there's one dent, if there's one scratch on it, like I don't even want it anymore. And I mean, it happened. It wasn't my fault. On the highway, I was just the unlucky person that was stopping like 50 other people in front of me, turning off on a highway, and the person behind me didn't stop and just plowed through like the chain of cars, and I was unfortunately that car that just got hit. So the car had to get cosmetic surgery. It had to be fixed. But even after it got fixed, I'm just like, I think I'm done. I'll go get it appraised. I got it appraised, and they're just like, hey, we're still, like, the market was still at its, like, deficit, where it's like the seller and we'll take more than everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm losing about $2,000 off that I had put into it already, just from financing it, just from owning it, and its own deficit that happened of like, hey, new car to used car.
The depreciation.
Yeah, depreciation. And I lost about $2,000, and then I just traded it in for a very equal value to a Miata, because I saw it there. I'm just like, oh, what other cars you have that are manual? Because I wanted to stick with that. And I saw that on the lot, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to have any more room for my snacks, because my car was, as John was saying, it was turning into like my purse, you know.
It so was. Okay.
But it's fine. It's fine. I clearly needed a bit more self-control with that. And I guess, I don't know. I did have really fun time with it. Like when I did have it, like I was able to have friends in there, and we went to the beach.
I remember, so we were talking a little bit ago about Hot Import Nights is coming up, and I remember you seeing a turbo all-wheel drive manual one at Hot Import Nights.
Oh yeah, there's
last
like
year.
3 of them,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's the one I wanted.
You're like, that could have been my car. It could have looked this good, but
I mean, they look the exact same.
No,
They just
I
have
know.
the like turbo on the back.
Right. I think there's a vastly different power
No.
output too.
Yes, there is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds better. I mean,
Yeah. But
it's that turbo signature at the back that just makes it, I guess, aesthetically look better, even though it's the exact same model.
It may be mostly psychological, like, I know what this car is.
But I think that everyone experiences that. You know.
But even still, it's like, okay, say I actually ended up with that car, I would still mod it. Like sway bars, it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
Like there was still significant body roll even with that car when I had it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I loved driving it in like the rain and hailstorm that I got when I was going through, I don't know, where I was like in Ohio, because they decided to have like a hurricane, and I'm like, okay, I guess the car's going to be a boat now. And it's like, because of where technology is, cars always have all these like different like security features on it that it's like, hey man, I'm turning off cruise control because I can't protect you anymore. Like, right?
I remember that. This is when we were driving across
Yeah.
country. It wasn't the cruise control. Like, we weren't trying to use cruise control. It
was
had
everything. Everything is just like,
was.
hey, Jesus took the wheel up at that point.
So-
That's the button that came up. They're just like, it's all you, brah.
This storm was so bad. I don't remember what it was that this car even had on it. It was like lane assist and auto braking and all of the stuff that I would personally never want on a car, but this car had it. And you could turn some of it off, but you couldn't turn all of it off. But I remember we drove through that I think I was driving.
I wasn't going to drive it.
Yeah, so I'm driving through, and I have a different kind of way of seeing stuff, like literally visually seeing stuff, and I was concerned. But the car shit its pants. It's like, hey, I can't see anything, so I'm going to turn everything but the ignition off, okay? Because it has cameras and sensors and everything, and it was so bad, all of them were like, I don't know if there's a wall in front. No, there's for sure a wall. There's a wall of water? Yeah, I'm turning everything off. And it's like, because you don't want to stop, right? And I was like, no, I'd like to not stop. And it's like, well, I can't see anymore, so I'm going to just not. And it just, like, it's like, good luck. You have a gas pedal, a brake, sort of, and seatbelts. It's all you. Yeah.
That's pretty much what the car said. That it's just like, hey, I'm too scared. You take the wheel.
It literally turned off braking stuff. Like, it had a warning. It's like, all this is now gone. Like, good luck.
Like when you, like the cameras on the side that tell you that it's like, hey, you have
Lane
something
assist.
coming. Like,
Yeah.
everything was
blind
on.
spot monitoring. It's like, no, I can't see any. Please pull over.
Automatic
No.
emergency brake? No.
Yeah, no. It's like, yeah, it's like, you're not going to pull over? And I was like, no. And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to sleep then. You just wake me up when you get there.
I wonder if you could use this trick to dyno the car easier. Just like walk around and put tape over all these sensors. I'm like, nope.
You
Well,
can't.
because they use, it's not just.
The sensors are in the bumper itself.
Yeah, so putting
not like
tape over
little
it doesn't
cameras.
matter. Well, there is a camera in the windshield,
Yes.
but most of these, it's like radar and lidar and all that stuff, so it doesn't matter.
The LiDAR.
Yeah, but there was so
That's a
much,
premium option.
there was
Clearly.
so much water. There
We
was
were
a
a boat.
wall of water.
Yeah.
That
And then the
it
trucks are just
thought-
like, we don't care about you. We got to go. We
Yeah.
got logistics to figure out.
it thought that there were solid objects in front of us. It was that much water. So, and because we refused, it's like, hey, you should stop. There's a something big in front of you. And I'm like, no, we're keep going. And it's like, well, you're gonna die imminently. So, like, we've done our job and tried to tell you, and it shut down.
Mazda disavows any liability from this
Right.
point.
At this
yeah.
point, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so what the computer was saying is like, and Mazda's actually really interesting with this. Like, even the Miata will
The Miata did it too.
The
Yeah, I
Miata-
remember
the
both of
Miata
ours.
will do it. Where if it sees something and you're getting close to it, even if you're driving and it can actually measure the distance, it'll start beeping at you like very hoarsely and say like, brake, you idiot.
It's the emergency braking.
Right. So it will emergency brake for you if it knows without a shadow of doubt in like a millisecond that you are not going to make it. It'll just brake for you. The Miata does it too.
But it's wrong. But it's wrong though.
Kind of, because it doesn't know how sharp or you're at really. But the Mazda 3 did that. When that rainstorm was coming down, they're like, we're handing you the wheel. You determine where the wall
because
is.
because we
'Cause
were
that
refusing to
function-
accept its
Yeah,
input.
that function was
Mhm.
like, whatever. If there's not a wall there, I clearly see a wall. You drive.
Which is good. Like, I appreciate that rather than it going no and slamming on the brakes.
Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, it tried to brake, and you're like, no, and you're back on the gas, and it's just like, okay, and exactly that. Yeah,
Right.
We release ourselves of any liability, like NHTSA or whatever it is, the National
Yeah.
Highways. Like we did our part. Sorry, we did our part. No, the Miata though. So there's camera on the windshield for that too.
Yeah.
And I remember we were driving inclement weather, or when it was really cold and we had frost over just that particular part. Like it's like, oh no, it's everything's covered in ice or snow because we got into some snow stuff. But so anyway,
Someone was doing burnouts in my driveway in the snow.
yeah.
That wasn't mine.
So anyway, but yeah, no, like because that camera on the windshield would get covered and it would go, I'm not sure that you're doing the speed limit, so just be careful. Because the Miata actually takes pictures of signs and it goes, oh, there's a stop sign there. Like I saw it, I took a picture of it. Or that sign said 3.5, you're doing 5.0. Maybe don't. And so when you covered it up, it's like, I don't know if this is intentional or not, so just behave. Like it, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But it is good that the Mazdas default to the user's discretion, and I've seen cars that don't.
Oh, yeah. Like
Yeah.
my IS300.
ID4.
Yeah. Another friend's ID4 that decided, no, we're not braking. No, we're
Yeah.
not turning. We're going right over that island and that sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, the IS300 was real bad. It, credit to the Toyota designer, it had a mechanical throttle body, which is great pedal feel. Downside, this was very early traction control, and so its solution when there was any loss of traction whatsoever was it would slam your throttle shut and leave it there for like 3 seconds until it decided, oh, everything's okay now, and it would give you throttle control again.
That's such a liability, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what a good way to lose control of a car? Slam the throttle body shut. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, and it would trigger over nothing. Like, even in the middle of summer, there was a four-way stop by my old house, and if you went over the one sewer cap at the wrong angle or something, it would detect wheel slip on that sewer cap, and
Yep. On the Hayabusa, it happens quite a bit. Anytime I ride over two different surfaces, like the front wheel is touching something different than the rear, the traction control starts strobing at me. So, but it doesn't slam the throttle shut. So, yeah,
because that'll just kill you immediately.
right, yeah. And we were actually like, I don't want to derail, but we were actually talking about like some of the modern features of vehicles and things that we were not blessed with in prior years, maybe, and some of them in a good way. But
ABS.
well, sure, but adaptive cruise control. And we're like, oh, because you were saying, he was actually asking, Derek asked earlier, he's like, is there something like that you dislike about your car? And I would say not having adaptive cruise control isn't necessarily something to dislike.
No,
It's you just don't have
it's
it.
a creature comfort at
Right.
the end of the day.
And we were saying, well, it kind of makes sense to not have it because it's a manual, which
Right,
then
but
brought up the question of,
there are manuals that have it.
Right.
And I find that technology fascinating, actually. I'm just like, how do you do that?
well, they send out a signal and say, hey, this object is getting closer to you, so slow down and match its speed. So
Even
match the
though
maximum amount of speed to maintain this distance.
Yeah, but you're shifting.
Well, as much as it can do within that gear, anyway.
Right. If you shift in a manual, it disables the cruise control. If you touch your clutch or your brake. Yeah. I wonder what would happen if I just yanked it into another gear. It probably wouldn't be
It
good
would.
because it's already got the throttle held open.
Yeah, it won't be good for the synchros. In
No,
any case.
yeah. All right, not something we're going to find out. But, okay, cool. Was there anything else on the docket that you wanted to ask about the Miata?
I don't think so, but let me double check here. No. That's all I had in the outline for that topic.
Okay, cool. So I don't think we should spend a lot of time getting into this thing, but I think we talked about this before we started the podcast.
Have we talked long enough? We've gone into summer and we can get back to the water topic?
I mean, we could just preload it and just say, "Oh, it's a balmy day in July." We'd be outside in the water, but it's so warm out. We're gonna enjoy the AC. So let's talk about water, and we'll just save it for 6 months. So no. So what we sort of talked about high level, and this is current news. It's the current comings and goings of what's happening. So the modifications that we started talking about, the sway bars, the exhaust, and everything. It's something that we just recently did to Heidi's car. It's been on there maybe a month now, something like that. Yeah, about a month. Cool. In fact, there was a day. So I said that I was with a new employer about a month, and there was a day early on where there was some maintenance stuff that was pre-scheduled that we had to address post install of that hardware. So yeah, it's been about a month since that's been on there, and so it's still fairly fresh. And because Heidi and I spend a lot of time in proximity to each other vehicularly, one of the things that came up that's current, and again, we won't go down a huge rabbit hole of this right now, but we'll just make some high level comparisons, is that I also had an ND Miata. And so the modifications that Heidi made to her car were at earnest recommendation from myself, and sort of, yeah, she knew what the Racing Beat exhaust sounded like on another platform. I mean, you could take HKS high power single flow exhaust and put it on one car, and it's going to sound, that same exact exhaust is going to sound different as it's modeled for a different car. So engine characteristics, obviously a Racing Beat's not going to sound the same on a rotary as it's going to sound on a Miata, but some of the notes, some of the tenor is right. And so that was something that she was able to do from experience of that. But the body roll, all of us knew the Miata had body roll, and it was like, how do we fix this body roll? And Goodwin Racing was like, this is how you do it. Like, trust me. And everyone was like, well, we did trust you, and it was phenomenal, so let's do it. And so that's what I would have personally done with my Miata had I kept the Miata, but I didn't keep the Miata. I got rid of my Miata. I didn't get rid of it. It's that I sold it, traded it in, and picked up a Lancer Evolution, 2014 Lancer Evolution X. The 2015 was the final edition, or there were final editions in the 2015 year, but they got rid of the really nice seats and put like minivan seats in the 2015. So I figured I would take the 5 less horsepower and get really nice Recaro seats. But the thing about like why is this applicable to this particular conversation is that Heidi's car feels so good that had I kept my ND Miata and done the same things, because again they were recommendations that I made in earnest, do this thing, I would have done myself, and I would have had the Miata that felt as good as Heidi's does. The problem is that I wound up with the Evo, and the concern that I have is that I'm going through some trials and tribulations with the Evo, and I think this warrants its own episode. It might even just be a me episode thing, and then my peers here can ridicule me about some of the decisions that I've made. But
gently ridicule.
No, I honestly think we need like a pie to the face and a pillory in the Times Square that people can yell like, "Look at what you did!"
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
No, it's not that it seemed like a good idea. It was a spiritual decision, and
Very American of you.
No. Well, no. See, the
Very
thing is,
John of him.
that
Very John.
exactly, and we're not talking about the same thing. You're talking about the experience that like when you say the American, are you talking about like instant gratification, John
Yes.
Spontaneous? Right. Derek's talking about history. If you were to ask anyone that knows me car-wise and be like, describe John's perfect car, it probably has four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It probably has a turbo, and it probably weighs more than the house that fell on the witch in Wizard of Oz. So, anyway, with that in mind,
Check.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. With that in mind, I wound up with the Evo, and the concern that I have is, as I said, I'm going through some trials and tribulations. It's another thing. My worry is, and I know this is apples to hand grenades, is that the Evo is not going to ever feel as good as Heidi's Miata does. And that's the thing, is that it doesn't need to feel like a Miata. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if the Miata gets like a it's not comfort. It's like an experience score. If the Miata gets a driver's experience score of 100 or 99, or what would you say? Hey, your car. I know that you're not you know, you haven't driven 70,000 different cars, but like if what you do know, within the realm of what you do know, and I think we need to ask Derek after he drives it, what does he think? But for the realm of what you know, what would you give a point value for the driver experience of your Miata as it is now? Out of 100.
Mm,
And if it's easier to do it, what did you give it before the modifications?
before the modifications, I'd give it about a 76.
Okay.
With the modifications, it's 89, 90.
Okay. What do you think would close the gap, do you think?
Supercharger.
Okay, okay.
That's hypothetical. Like, it might change for the worse. And I'm keeping that, like, I don't know,
So is
pessimism open, I guess?
no, that's absolutely fair. But would you say that this this 10% jump, you know, is getting a perfect score, you know, with a supercharger?
It just needs power.
Okay, but I'm trying to think of the right way to ask this of you. Why do you think it needs power? You know, like okay, I'm gonna say something really really weird here, and if you don't get the analogy, let me know, and I'll try to find a different way. But Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden, right? They walked around naked, and everything was totally fine until they realized that maybe there was such a thing as shame, and suddenly they're like, oh no, I'm naked, and so that gave them a perspective of let's put clothes on. So that's kind of a weird analogy, but like, so you go, it needs power. Where does this perspective, where does that reference point come from? Do you understand what I'm asking, Derek? Okay.
Yeah. This a small tangent is the number one thing that kills turbo rotaries is greed. You got some power, you want more. You need more. You turn up the boost, and now your engine explodes, and you have to spend $6,000 to build a new engine and buy a new turbo.
Okay, so would you say that you have the Miata and you have the experience, and you go, but now I need more Miata? Or would you
I wouldn't say it's a need. Like, I could hold off on.
Okay,
I feel what it is missing.
but why? Why do you feel that it's missing that? That's what I'm trying to get to. And I have ideas.
It sounds like it could do more than what it is doing.
That kind of sounds like greed.
It does a little bit.
Here are my thoughts, and don't let me sway your opinion. Like, if this isn't it, no, that's not it. The first car that you drove that was a manual, the car that you drove that was a manual,
Yeah.
Was a heavily modified Mazda Speed 3.
Yeah.
The second car that you drove that was a manual was a Corvette.
Right.
You personally ride on a regular basis very comfortably a CBR 1000 RR that has more horsepower than your Miata and weighs a fifth, 20% of the...
It's like 400, 500?
4 and some change, 460, something like that. Do you think that has anything to do with it? That you just go, oh, I came from a rocket ship before. I bet you the Miata could do it. Or do you think it's just...
I see your perspective. Okay. My comfort speed is at like 85.
Okay.
And
the Miata does 85.
Sure, it does, but it doesn't do it how I want it to.
Okay. Can you describe that sensation? Like what you mean?
Effortless.
Okay. So, you know, I don't know if you've gotten into... I know you did on the Corvette, but I don't think you got into the Evo just like, let's go. Derek does.
I did.
And you...
It's effortless to get there.
Is
It's
that what you're
effortless to
saying? Is
hold it there.
the same thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but then I feel I would be getting into
Jail.
an engine breakdown.
Okay. I don't think so.
Are you sure? Because the Miata as it is, it's high revving.
You're not going to change your rev range. You're just putting load throughout the rev range.
I see.
And so I guess, yeah, I think that's what I was asking is just like, do you want more power because you think it needs more power? And if you think it needs more power, is it because you came from something that's... here's a different example. Back in 2009, the Nissan GTR, the R35 came out. It existed. Technically, it was 2008, 2009. At that time, I bought a brand new ZX6R. So you know what that is. Bought a brand new ZX6R. Fast as hell. But that summer, I drove a GTR very aggressively for a little while. And then the next time I went immediately from that GTR back to riding my bike. And suddenly my bike felt slow. And that's what I'm wondering. Like, do you think the Miata needs more power because you know that it can take more power and people are doing things that make more power? Or because you have a perspective of all these other things that have more power or better power to weight ratio?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a feeling I get when I'm driving the car.
Okay. And you think it just can and should have more?
Yes, I think it could, on very controlled levels, output more.
Is this... I promise I'm just going to stop beating this subject to a death, but do you think that? Do you feel that? Like, where do you feel that? Where do you think that? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your foot?
I feel it when I'm driving it.
Yeah, but where is it? Where does that originate from? Like when in the Evo, when you floor it, you feel the push in your chest. Or is this a logical decision that you're making?
It might be 50-50, but weighed more on logic.
Okay. So, okay. It's a consideration, it's a thoughtful consideration of I can do this. It's not like I guess it's like Legos. Okay.
And I'm just trying to shape and mold and make the Lego to the way that it's going to perform very well. Like I guess at the end of the day, this is a performance car. It's a toy to a sports in a performance manner. Okay,
that's fair. So with that in mind, what you got there? 5.9.
5.94. That is how many multiples faster your CBR is, power to weight wise, than your ND.
Almost six times.
Yeah, nears makes no difference. About 6 times the power to weight on the CBR versus the ND.
And that's what I was. I feel like we dragged on about 15 minutes. I don't
drive the CBR.
You feel it though. Yeah. When that light turns green and it's like, fuck, I need to get over, and this guy won't let me over, and you go, he doesn't have a choice. My right hand says I am going over. Like, remember when we were coming up on, and all those trucks were on Highway 30 and we needed to get up Cornelius Pass, and it was just like, did you know that those trucks are going to start losing their stability to about 140 and we can do 200 no problem? Yeah. And we just took off. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I think if you're thinking about the Miata logically, cool. But I am curious if it's like if it's like Gateway. Does that make sense? Like it's like, I started doing, I don't know the progression of drugs. But I don't think people go to weed and then to heroin or whatever. But like they go, oh, I used to do coke, and then whatever, and now I do whatever the next thing is.
Would you like a hit of 87 octane?
Right. Yeah. No,
first tank's free.
First tank. She's on 93, 94 octane, 0 ethanol. That's what she's snorting these days through that funnel. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay. So I think that we can wrap up on the interrogation on that subject matter. But so with that in mind, I am not comparing a Miata and going, oh, I want my Evo to feel like a Miata. I'm concerned that the Evo will never feel as good in an Evo way as the Miata does in its way. Because I have now hit, there's parts sitting on my front door right now, ready to get dropped off. Because we're not doing that front sway bar. Anyway, you have to drop the front subframe. So anyway,
and we kind of skimmed over that a little bit, maybe out of PTSD
a little bit.
But I think we started working on the sway bars and the springs project at
it was light out
4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah, it was still light out.
And
no.
Yes, it was. I was putting stuff on the steps, unpacking things in the light.
Yeah.
Was I? Oh, you weren't working at that point. I
right?
came over after work, so I came over around like 5-ish.
Yep.
I thought we started at like 5-ish. Okay.
And we
So
finished at 5-ish.
5 a.m. ish.
Yeah, right. Heidi went to sleep. Derek went to work at about 11, something
um,
like.
I was supposed to go to work at 11, but
Oh, I was
I kept
angry. Yeah, I was like, no, you're not abandoning me right this second. I need your help still. Yeah.
yeah, so I stuck it out for him until midnight, and then I had to work because I'd promised to do other things the next day. So,
Yep.
but what all is involved in the ND front sway bar? Well, just drop the entire steering rack, but not too far because all the wiring is still attached because it's
Yeah.
electronic. And oh yeah, you know those end links with those brand new nuts on the brand new studs on the end link? You might want to just get out your diamond wheel on your angle grinder and cut it right off.
Oh, you were so mad with that. I remember that. I never saw Derek mad.
Yeah.
I-
Well, that he
I
was in a
wasn't-
hurry.
I was getting frustrated and
Yeah.
rushed at that point. I'm like, we're not going to reuse these. They're gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what Mazda did. They like galled the threads or something, but you had to use an Allen key to hold it still on the stud, and then you're putting like substantial, like 30 plus foot-pounds of torque in every little twist to get the nuts off once they were already loose. So I don't know what happened there, and we did the first one.
I know what happened. You just grinded it off.
Well, that's what happened in the end.
So front sway bars on a lot of cars turn out to be ugh. It's that one was rated at many. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours or something like that.
It took 8.
Well, because we didn't know, like we didn't know that
That's because
that's
I
what it
told you
took.
to read the directions. You never read
It wasn't
the directions.
super really in the
Yeah.
directions, but
It
but
was.
I did read the directions on the Evo, and all data says it is a 4.5 to 5 hour job, and English goes, we can probably do it in less, but they're like, if it takes us 5 hours, that's $700. I'm like, well, cool, because Derek has to work, I have a job, and I would prefer to stay his friend. So this is, you choose your battles, and this is not one of them. And it's like, I like Derek. Derek likes me, I think, and like,
yeah.
it's just that you don't battle the undefeatable enemy together, because then you yourselves become frustrated with each other. So I'm not going to do the front sway bar on that car. Anyway, but so I've got...
It's probably wise for both of our sanity in any case.
That's true too. Well, and that's the other thing that I was trying to explain to Heidi is I was like, we have to lower the front subframe. I don't have a lift. So, like, I'm not doing that. We can't get the car high enough at our spot to be able to make use of doing that. So
We can. We don't want to.
no, that
We don't
yes,
want to.
yes, we could dig a tunnel through your yeah, we could dig a tunnel through your garage floor out to the backyard because it's already started, but I don't want to. Yeah, your cat's getting into some stuff. Anyway, with that in mind, I am not. I have everything that can be done to the Evo is prepared to be done to the Evo as far as the suspension and tires. So the handling performance of the Evo, top to bottom, everything, bushings, all of it is there and done. And the worry that I have, because of the experience that I've had so far, is not that it's gonna be like, oh, it's not like the Miata. I know that. That's not what I'm going into. I'm worried that it is not going to have that same, what did you say, 89, 90, something like that.
Yeah. Well, where would you rate it now?
See, that's the thing is,
It's hard to rate something that just feels so incomplete, huh?
yes. And the same thing, like if you were to say, hey, John, how did you feel about your Miata before you did any of the mods? You said 70 something? 70?
Yeah, I think you were even lower.
No, I was higher. There were some fit and finish things that I wasn't really a fan of. I don't like how loose the transmission felt and the fact that you can just watch your shifter shake on acceleration. But with, what was it, 7% drivetrain loss? They did something right, so whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if you could close that gap with a transmission bracket that it caused it to shake less.
Crazing speed actually makes it.
A transmission brace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No.
Because if you eliminate some of that, I mean, movement is loss. So I wonder if we could, I don't know, whatever. No, I say 70 is good, but here's the problem. With those fit and finish things, I would say that my awareness of the car, I would say 70 is good. But here's the problem. When when Ryan scratched the trunk,
Oh my
that
god.
that
Oh,
score
he's
went
been out of it.
down like substantially.
Like at least by 10.
Depends on what part of the car I was looking at. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, if I look at the Evo standalone at the time that it was made in 2014, I would say probably about 70. The problem is that it is now 2023. It's 2024. It's 11 years later, 10 years yet later. I can math. It's 10 years later, and it is going to cost me thousands of dollars if I want projectors, if I want LEDs or
And
something other than.
it definitely needs it. Like,
My lenses are clean and clear, but it is extremely dim to the other cars. Even like just modern cars, their headlights can see the future. So there's that. What else? I did a lot of the electronic retrofitting, so it's good. The back seat is actually incredibly comfortable. I personally am not a fan of more than 2 doors on a car, but it has been proven to be practical. The sound is a little because it's just a loud, raucous, sort of rattly thing, and it's a rally car, and that's what it does. So, what are you thinking, Derek?
I was going to just say, I love the seats in there, except for that one little problem.
Which is,
If you pull the e-brake properly, you're going to bang your elbow into the seat.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, I tried to hand Derek a pair of headphones the other day, and he got very angry because they bit him. So I wonder how much of this is user error. But no, anyway. So yeah, it's really tough to say. I would say back in 2014, I'd say the car got a 70. Now, where it is, if I had to really like be honest with myself, oh man. You're right. It's really tough. You're right, Heidi. It's really tough because it's so incomplete and it's not what it should be.
like it's not.
30
this
or 40.
Yeah, that's the problem. It was a used car. You got it used. You got it very. This needs some work. Okay, I could probably do like the bare necessities work and make it look as if it's, or not even look, but like drive as if you like it just came off the lot, like it was made yesterday.
Or just to drive like the hero car that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and it's nothing like that.
Right. And I think the thing that makes me kind of upset about that, and again, I'm not going, oh, it's never going to drive like the Miata. I know it isn't. Like I don't want it to.
It's not about that.
Yeah, it's a different thing. But what Derek was talking about, the dollars and efforts that went into his car versus his dad's car, and then suddenly he had his dad's car just daily drove better. I am $57,000 into this Evo, and I worry that when it's said and done next week,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to go, all right, John, it's done. Like, the only thing that you can do now is performance upgrades, like power upgrades. Everything else is done. What's the score for the car? And I'm going to go 60. Like that worries me. That genuinely worries me. And here's the spoiler. Does anyone else have anything to say before we end the podcast? Because I do have a bombshell note to leave it on. No? Nothing from Derek?
No, not that I can think of.
Heidi?
No.
Okay. So
Did you actually buy a GTR?
Oh, that one. I know what this is.
I have a buddy of mine that owns an R35 GTR that puts
Oh.
out 700 horsepower, E85, but it also just auto adapts to whatever it is that you put in the tank. It just tunes accordingly. It's auto tuning.
Yeah, it has the sensor.
Yep.
The only thing
you've seen
wrong-
this car.
I've seen it. Oh, wait.
Yeah. It's
uh,
Golden Boy.
yeah. So a certain yellow, is moving to California and has offered to sell me his GTR. And it is within the realm of what I have paid for the Evo. So I'm going to hang up on this note. Bye, everybody.